Because I run a job board, I talk to applicants almost every day. And many of the people I meet make the same mistake. They have no clear job search goals. So they apply everywhere, every day, all day long. You might think it's smart to send lots of applications. After all, it's a numbers game, right? It's not. The more you narrow your search, the easier everything gets, and the happier you'll be in your next job. Stop chasing every lead. Instead, focus on what you really want. Now, figuring out your goals can be hard, but we have a MaxList resource that can help. Finding focus in your job search. Go to maxlist.org/focus. Our free step-by-step MaxList guide will help you create your own job search goals. Get your copy today. Visit maxlist.org/focus. Again, that's maxlist.org/focus. This is Find Your Dream Job, the podcast that helps you get hired, have the career you want, and make a difference in life. I'm your host, Mac Pritchard. I'm also the founder of MaxList. It's a job board in the Pacific Northwest that helps you find a fulfilling career. Every Wednesday, I talk to a different expert about the tools you need to get the work you want. Many job seekers do nothing else when looking for work but apply for jobs. And if this is all you do, you're making your job search longer and harder than it needs to be. Danielle Cobo is here to talk about how to attract your dream job without applying online. She's a career consultant who works with medical sales professionals. Her company's services include resume writing, LinkedIn optimization, and interview preparation. She joins us from Tampa, Florida. Well, let's jump right into it, Danielle. Many job seekers, all they do is apply for jobs, and that's it. And I want to talk about why that happens. But before we get into that, why can't you rely on applications alone when you look for work?
That's a great question. I believe that there's a couple reasons why relying on just online applications alone can be an ineffective way of looking for your dream job. The first being is that some companies don't actually post their jobs. Maybe they are expanding and they don't want their competitors to know where their expansions are going and the different roles that they're going to be bringing on board. And so they may not even post their jobs. And if they're not posting their jobs, if you're only applying to jobs online, then you're missing out on that opportunity. And I believe second to that, according to a statistic by JobVite, the average online job posting receives around 250 applications. And, then it goes through the applicant tracking system. So the chances of your resume actually being viewed by the human eyes in a lot of situations doesn't happen as often as what we'd like to think. And so just applying online can be, while it may feel like we're being productive, it may not be as effective.
Well, let's talk more about that. What happens to candidates? You work with a lot of people doing a job search. What happens to candidates who put all their eggs in one basket and only send out applications?
If they're only sending out applications, then they could be missing out on the opportunities when it comes to networking, and that could be networking with recruiters. There's some organizations where they may not post their job online. They may exclusively working with a recruiter. And so if you're only applying to jobs online, you're missing out on a subset of positions that could be the right fit for you. But if you're not networking and building that relationship with the recruiters, it's a missed opportunity. In addition to that, if you're only applying online, again, your resume not be viewed by the right people. And when you utilize tools like LinkedIn, it's another layer, it's another tool in your toolkit that you can use in your job search strategy.
What would you say to listeners who think it's a numbers game? If I send out X number of applications, it might be 50, 100 a month, or even more. Eventually, someone will contact me and offer me an interview. I just have to send out lots and lots of applications. What's your reaction to that?
That kind of reminds me of the analogy when it comes to sales, right? The more cold calls you make, the more prospects you're going to have, the more deals you're going to close. And yes, it can be a numbers game. And you get to ask yourself, are you willing to, how much time are you willing to take to look for the job that you want, your dream job? And also, ask yourself, how are you going to maintain the motivation and sustain the mental well-being throughout the process if you're just playing the numbers game? And what I mean by that is oftentimes when I'm working with job seekers, when they've been on the job hunt for 6 months, because all they've been doing is applying at jobs online. And then they receive these automated generated emails from the corporation saying, "We appreciate you applying to this position, but we've chosen somebody else." It can feel very discouraging, deflating, and frustrating through the process. And so that's going to affect the mental well being of the job seeker, the candidate, which is then eventually going to show up in a sense of desperation sometimes. And it's going to show up in the interview process. So, you really get to look at your time is your most valuable asset. It's the most valuable piece that you have in your life. And so you can either do the numbers game where you can sit there and apply to positions online and just play the numbers game, or you can take a step back and you can really put together a job search strategy so that you're ensuring that you're setting yourself up for success, not only in being efficient with your time, but more importantly, finding exactly the type of role and company that is perfect for you.
I want to talk about that strategy because I know you have strong opinions about that and success helping people create and make those strategies work. But one last question about focusing on applications alone. In your experience, Danielle, when you talk to job seekers, why do people choose this? Why do they go down this road in the first place?
That's a great question. That's always kind of been the standard approach when it comes to looking for a job. It's always been going on job boards and going to company websites, and that's kind of been the way that we've always done it. And I believe that a lot of people don't know of the different approaches that one could take to be more effective in building a job search strategy. So sometimes it's just a lack of awareness.
Well, let's talk about what to do instead. And you've had great success helping people follow a strategy to attract jobs and uncover jobs that aren't advertised online. Let's talk about how to do that. One of the first steps you recommend is to treat your LinkedIn profile like a digital resume. Uh, what does that look like, and how does that help you attract and find jobs without sending out applications?
So, great question, because your LinkedIn profile is your digital resume, like you had mentioned. And statistically, out there, research shows that 87% of recruiters are using LinkedIn to search for top talent. However, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, or if you don't have your LinkedIn profile optimized to really showcase your experience and the value that you can bring to an organization, a recruiter may not even know that you exist. And so it's so important and valuable to have a LinkedIn profile. So, one of them being, if you have a comprehensive LinkedIn profile, when a recruiter is using the program Recruiter Lite and they're putting in the search filters saying specifically, I'm looking for a candidate with this many years of experience and these skill sets, you want your profile to come up top. Second to that is you want to be able to use LinkedIn as an opportunity to start nurturing relationships with the potential people that might be hiring you or interviewing you in the future. So, a lot of times, there's been situations where maybe a position isn't open right at this moment. However, the hiring manager knows that the person that's currently in the position that you'd be a good fit for might be in the interview process for a promotion up. And so if you start to nurture a relationship with the hiring manager through LinkedIn and they've got your resume because you've nurtured that relationship, when that position does come available, you are now seen as the top candidate and you've bypassed even going through the applicant tracking system.
Two steps there. One is optimize your LinkedIn profile as a digital resume. And the second is use LinkedIn to build relationships with hiring managers and recruiters. Let's talk about the first step and how you do that. What's your best advice, Danielle, about how to take your existing LinkedIn profile and update it and change it in a way that it does become a digital resume?
So, the first mistake that I see with LinkedIn profiles is a lot of profiles that lack attention to them. And so sometimes it's a lack of your profile photo. So the first area that people see on a LinkedIn profile before they even click the profile is the profile image. So you want to have a professional headshot. Next would be your headline. Your headline, you can have up to 220 characters. You want to make sure your headline clearly communicates what you do, who you serve, and the value that you bring. You want to have those optimized with keywords. Then you have the opportunity to customize your background photo at the very top. That's another area that you can highlight either some accomplishments, or you can highlight specifically what your role is, or maybe it's your mission statement. Then next, you want to go to your about section. Your about section, you can have up to 2,600 characters, and it's really an overview of your career, but it's also an opportunity to let your personality shine and let people get to know you beyond just how you are at work. Because really, where you're going to be talking about the skill sets that you have is in the experience section. And that's where you're going to break down in every role that you've had, what your roles and responsibilities were, what the skill sets that you've developed in those roles, and how they translate to the roles that you're going to be applying to. And then also results. People want to look at specific results that are related. And then also you can have up to 100 skills, targeted skills as well. So one of the things that I do when working with job seekers is we will run what's called our LinkedIn Social Selling Index, which is a way that LinkedIn measures your brand presence online. We will take that score, then we will build out a comprehensive profile. But when it comes to building out a comprehensive profile, I first work with somebody and saying, what are 5 potential roles that you want to apply to that align with the experience that you have? Let's identify some of the keywords or the skill sets that they're looking for in those roles, and how does it relate to the experience that you have? That way, we're clearly communicating the transferable skills, and we'll build out a comprehensive profile. Then we will run their social selling index score again and see the continuous areas that we can improve to continue to develop their brand presence on LinkedIn.
Okay, hold that thought. I want to talk more about optimizing your LinkedIn profile. Stay with us. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Danielle Cobo. Are you planning an exciting trip this year? I bet something you might not be planning is learning the local language. Well, with Babbel, you only need a few weeks to learn. Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons get you to begin speaking your new language in 3 weeks, or whatever pace you choose. I have conversational Spanish, thanks to classes and many trips to Latin America and Spain over the years. But I've seen my Spanish get worse because I wasn't speaking it every day. Using Babbel helps me keep and improve my Spanish, and Babbel has worked for millions of other language learners of all ages. Find out for yourself. Babbel is gifting our listeners 60% off subscriptions at babbel.com/dreamjob. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/dreamjob. Spelled BABBEL.com/dreamjob. Babbel.com/dreamjob. Rules and restrictions may apply. Have you ever been asked this in a job interview? Tell me about a time when you didn't agree with your boss. What would you say? This is what's called a behavioral interview question, and it's a common tactic. Employers use this kind of question to explore your fit for a job based on your past experience. It can be an easy question to answer if you have the right strategy. I show you how to answer these gotcha questions in our free Maxlist guide, 100 Behavioral Interview Questions You Need to Know. To get your copy, visit maxlist.org/questions. You'll also learn 4 simple steps for answering any behavioral interview question. Again, that's maxlist.org/questions. You can count on getting these questions in your next interview. Why not get the answers before you walk into the interview room? Go to maxlist.org/questions. We're back in the Max List studio. I'm talking with Danielle Cobo. She's a career consultant who works with medical sales professionals. Her company's services include resume writing, LinkedIn optimization, and interview preparation. And Danielle joins us from Tampa, Florida. Danielle, before the break, we were talking about how to attract your dream job without applying online. And I love the points you were making about how to use LinkedIn to create a digital resume and your specific advice about how to do that. One point you brought up in the first segment that we didn't have a chance to address was building relationships with people that you connect with on LinkedIn. Tell us more about what you have in mind there and how to do it well.
Well, LinkedIn has a lot of really great features when it comes to being able to search certain people that you want to connect with on LinkedIn. So perhaps there's a company that you want to work for, and you can go to that company's profile, you can search employees, and maybe you want to pursue a position. So, like I mentioned, I work with a lot of sales professionals. And so you can actually search by sales professionals or the VP of sales or the district sales manager. And then you can also search in from there a specific geography. So if they work at a particular office location or live in a certain area, or you're pursuing a role in a certain area, you can add different filters so that it's sure that you are narrowing it down and connecting with the right people that you want to connect with.
And to do this, Danielle, do you have to have a monthly membership or can you do this with a free service?
You can do it with the free service. However, when you have LinkedIn Premium, there's so many more benefits with LinkedIn Premium that allow you to have more search filters and also more connection requests, as well as more in-mails, messages that you can send as well. So there's a lot that you can get, a lot of features that are available on the free version, but there's so much more on the premium. And if you're actively looking for a role, I highly recommend the premium.
Terrific. So the idea here is you know the job you want or the jobs that interest you. You might have a list of target employers, and you're using these tools that are especially easier to use with premium to find potential employers and hiring managers that you want to connect with. Once you do that research, that legwork, Danielle, what happens next? What do you do with that information?
What happens next is then it's about fostering the relationship. Now, one of the fostering and building the relationship, one of the mistakes I see a lot of people do is they'll send a connection request with that individual and just basically say, I'm looking for a job. And that is one approach, but where you can really take it a step further in nurturing a relationship and ensuring that they're going to accept the connection request is find some commonality with that individual. So perhaps it is, I was looking at your profile and it looks like we went to the same school, or I was looking at your profile and it looks like we worked at the same companies together, or we work in the same industry and wanted to connect. That at least creates, they know that you're not just a bot sending connection requests. You're personalizing a little bit. And then once they accept the connection request, then from there, you can start to inquire about the possibilities of asking if they do have an open position available on their team, or perhaps you've seen a position on their website that you're interested in, and are they the right person to speak to, or would they recommend you connect with somebody else within the company?
Another idea that you recommend people follow in order to attract jobs without applying online is to build a strong personal brand. Why is it important to do this? And how is that going to help you attract offers or at least learn about opportunities without sending out applications?
Absolutely. Building a personal brand on LinkedIn is so valuable. And so when I'm working with job seekers, what we do is we kind of identify what are the top skill sets do they want to be known for that are alignment with the positions that they're going to be pursuing. So if they're pursuing a leadership role, then we really want to hone in on what is leadership to them. And so ways that they can build a strong brand presence on LinkedIn is to actually share content, share posts about what leadership means to them. or share articles about leadership or share any content related to leadership. And then what happens is when people start to comment on those posts, your post then shows up in their anybody that's following them, their news feed. So it's a way of expanding your reach and building a strong personal brand, clearly communicating your experience and the value and expertise that you bring on LinkedIn.
So I can imagine a listener saying, well, that sounds great, but how is that going to help me either attract offers or learn about jobs that I might not otherwise know about?
I did have a client they were looking for a job kind of passively. They weren't actively applying to jobs online. However, they did update their profile. And what we started to do was we started to build a content strategy for them sharing their expertise on leadership. And what happened is people started in their industry and their colleagues started to write comments on their posts. And then it happened to be a recruiter, saw one of their posts. And they had reached out to this individual and said, hey, you know what? I saw one of your posts. I've had the opportunity to look at your profile. I believe you'd be a really good fit for this potential position that we have. Do you have time to talk today? And so it's a matter of taking a creative and strategic approach of not only just, it's not a matter of just building up a profiling and hoping and somebody sees it. It's really utilizing that platform in various ways to build your brand, show your expertise, and position you as a thought leader in your industry.
Well, let's close with that because I know you're also another strategic choice you recommend people make is to network with industry recruiters, talent acquisition managers, hiring managers, and employees at organizations that you might be interested in working in. Why is it important to do that? And how do you do it well, Danielle?
If you want to connect with a talent acquisition manager who's often responsible for reviewing the resumes before sending them to the hiring manager, when you have LinkedIn Premium, a lot of job postings will show who the person is responsible for hiring for that position. And that's a way that you can connect directly with the talent acquisition manager. Second to that is a lot of companies will offer a referral bonus if an internal employee refers a candidate and that candidate is hired. And so that's why it's also beneficial if you start to build relationships with people that work internally within the company, they're incentivized to then pass your resume along to the hiring manager.
Terrific. Well, it's been a great conversation. Tell us what's next for you, Danielle.
What's next for me is to continue to show up on LinkedIn. I work with organizations and individuals to attract their dream job, boost their sales, and build a career and life that they love.
Great. I know that listeners can learn more about you not only by connecting with you on LinkedIn, but by visiting your website. And you've got a special section set aside for career coaching. That URL is daniellecobo.com/career consulting. We'll be sure to include links to both your LinkedIn page and your website in the show notes. And as always, I hope when listeners do reach out to you, they'll mention they heard you on Find Your Dream Job. Now, Danielle, given all the great advice you've shared today, what's the one thing you want a listener to remember about how to attract your dream job without applying online?
The best advice that I would give is you can either be in a position where you're playing the numbers game, or you can be strategic, highly effective, and use unique and creative strategies to attract your dream job utilizing LinkedIn.
Next week, our guest will be Liz Bronson. She's an HR leader with more than 20 years of experience as a talent acquisition and business partner. Liz also co-hosts the excellent podcast, Real Job Talk. Remote and hybrid workplaces were almost unknown before the COVID-19 pandemic. Instead, employers generally required you to work on site Monday through Friday. Since then, working at home every day or several days a week has become common. Which model is best for you? And how do you find a workplace that offers it? Join us next Wednesday when Liz Bronson and I talk about in-person, hybrid, and remote. What works for you? Until next time, thanks for letting us help you find your dream job. This show is produced by Max List. Susan Thornton-Hoff schedules our guests and writes our newsletter. Lisa Kislenberry-Anderson manages our social media. Our sound engineer and editor is Matt Fiorillo. Dawn Mole creates our transcripts, and our music is by Freddie Trujillo. This is Mac Pritchard. See you next week.